All right, so the next thing we'll look at is some other shapes. So if I click on this rectangle tool, you'll see there's other options in here. So there's ellipse, which makes circles and ovals. There's the polygon tool, and if you hit the up arrow, it'll add more faces, and the down arrow will add less. You can hit shift, and that'll create a an equilateral triangle or a square or a pentagon. Next up, we have the star tool. Once again, up and down arrow adds different numbers of points. If you hit shift on this one, it constrains it. If you hit command, you can control the kind of sharpness of the star. Okay, so much like Maya, you can combine shapes together to make new shapes. So I'm going to just hit Shift X here. So I can define a shape that's the intersection of these two circles. There's a number of different ways to do this. So as I select these in this contextual aware properties menu, the Pathfinder comes up. I can also do Window, Pathfinder. And I will stick this over here. And here's a bunch of different options. I can, cut one shape out of another, like so. I can, do the intersection. I can break it into pieces, and so on and so forth. If I alt-click on this, it keeps the original shapes alive. So I could, if I wanted to, double-click on this and grab the original shape and continue to manipulate it. And I can also stack these up. So I can have another shape. Right. Alt-click again. And now I have 3 paths that are defining this. Be handy if you're working on a logo. You can also have things in different states. So to do that, I'm going to go to Window, Layers. And when I'm working on stuff, sometimes it's nice to have the live version of something or the rig of it. And then I can duplicate that layer like so, and call this the baked version, which if I grab this object, expand appearance is just the resulting shape. Let's say if the rig becomes unwieldy. All right. If I'm combining a ton of shapes at once, Illustrator has an option for that as well. So let's say, let me click cloud-like shape. Right. Like so. And see how it's snapping. It's trying to find places of intersection. So that is because I have View Smart Guides on, which are pretty handy. Okay, so if I wanted to combine all this all at once, I could go to the Shape Builder tool. And I'm just going to add all these together. Just dragging, grabbing things I want. I also want that. And then to subtract, I Alt. See how it changes from a plus to a minus? I Alt drag things. Shift drag that one. And it's a way to kind of combine many shapes a little more quickly. If we look at, let's just start fresh again. If we go back to the example with the Pathfinder, just delete that. So I got my ellipse and another ellipse. And we look at the layers. It's a lot like Photoshop. This is kind of like the group or the folder, and you can see all the different forms in here. I can group these together, which basically creates another folder, right? And if I want to get in there, I double click and it takes me a little further down in the group. Another way, so if I do this Pathfinder tool and I alt click on this, that also creates a group, right? A compound kind of shape. And, you know, grouping's an important way of organizing our work and building more complex forms. So we can see the kind of hierarchy up here. Another really important tool is the type tool. So we go over here. If I want to change the typeface, go window, type character. And all that good stuff. It looks, if I hit Command Y, it looks a little different than our shapes. It's in a different state. I can't actually, if I go to direct, I can't actually manipulate this shape. So to do that, once again, I could have my original type on one layer and hide it and then bake it out. I could say Command Shift 0, or I could go type create outlines. And now it's a path that I can manipulate. Another thing we could do, like for example, is I could go to this, I could make this stroke a lot thicker, and I can take any stroke, and if I wanted to, see if I hit Command Y, it's just that, I could turn any stroke I want into a shape as well, and to do that, smiley face, I guess, you can go Object, Expand, Fill and Stroke, and then that's going to turn it into a path that we can further manipulate if we want to. This kind of shape is kind of special. If we notice it's completely closed, it's not actually two shapes. It's one thing, but there are two components to it, and this is called a compound shape, an enclosed shape. Another example of this is like a figure 8, right? If I was to expand this, it's actually made up of a few different shapes. In this case, 3 different shapes, but it reads as one object. That is called a compound shape. To release that, if we wanted to, you'd go compound path, release, and now it's a bunch of shapes. And it's grouped, right? So I can Command Shift G, ungroup it, And now I can see its 3 component parts. If I want to take 3 paths and bake them into one object, I go compound path, make. All right.